I've been dialing in my winter camping gear for years, and I can confidently say that this is the ultimate winter camping gear list. It's gear that is proven through many nights in the unforgiving Canadian Rockies to work in freezing temperatures, keep you warm and alive in extreme cold, while also allowing you to have fun and be comfortable while out on your winter adventures. Starting with the Hyperlite Mountain Gear Ultimate 4 tent, I've been using pyramid tents for a while now, and for good reason. They're very stable in heavy wind, shed snow really effectively due to the steep sidewalls, are quite roomy inside for their weight, and are very easy to set up in winter conditions. The Ultimate 4 takes pyramid tents to the next level. It's made with Dyneema composite fabric, which allows it to be extremely durable while also being very light. This thing only weighs about a pound, which is insane for how roomy it is. As a solo tent, this thing has a ton of room for me to sleep in it, as well as hang out. It'd also be quite roomy for 2 people, but you could also fit 3 or 4 inside of the Ultimate. In snowy conditions, when setting up the tent, I'll pack down the snow, let it freeze for 15 to 20 minutes, and then use these aluminum snow stakes in order to stake the tent down. My sleep system starts off with a reflective ground mat. I use a tent without a floor, so I like to have the mat in order to keep everything up off of the snow, and the reflective nature and a little bit of foam inside of it provides a little bit of extra warmth, about 0.5 R value. On top of the reflective mat, I have the Nemo switchback foam mat here. It's a folding mat. I like that a little bit better than the ones that roll because I find the ones that roll a little bit difficult to unroll when it's really cold out. This thing provides an extra 2 R value to my sleep system and also a little bit of security in case my sleeping pad fails. For my sleeping pad, I'm using the Thermrest X-Therm. This is the NXT version, new pad for 2023. It boosts the R value to 7.3, provides a little bit of extra thickness, and is a little bit lighter weight. To inflate the sleeping pad, I use this really cool device. This is the FlexTail Tiny Pump X2. With the second version here, it adds USB-C charging, so almost all of my devices now are USB-C, which is awesome. This will inflate your sleeping pad, which helps prevent getting moisture from your breath inside of it, which is just gonna cool off and then deflate the sleeping pad over the course of the night. As well, it has a lamp on it, so you can hang this up inside of your tent in order to provide some light as you hang out. I'll have links to the Tiny Pump as well as all the gear we're looking at today in the video description. For the sleeping bag, we have one of the best sleeping bags and one of the best pieces of gear that I think has ever been designed. This is the Thermrest Polar Ranger. It's by far, in my opinion, the best winter sleeping bag out there. It has a lot of great features like a snorkel around your face in order to keep your face warmer and help deal with moisture, as well as these arm holes that you can stick your arms out in order to do things around your tent without having to get completely out of your sleeping bag. This is great if you want to stay warm inside your sleeping bag while doing things like reading or maybe having a snack. And they can also act as vents if you're getting a little bit too warm inside your sleeping bag. If it's really cold out, I'll add this synthetic top quilt to it. This is the Enlight Equipment Revelation Apex. This will lock down onto the sleeping pad using pad straps. And with this sleep system, I can get down to minus 50 degrees Celsius. I've slept at those temperatures and been toasty warm. For my pillow, I'm using the Hike Ensure pillow. This is only $20 on Amazon, super affordable. It has a pad strap to keep it locked onto your sleeping pad and a little bit of foam on the top to provide insulation during winter conditions. This is an item that I don't think gets enough attention with winter camping. It's the Snow Claw shovel. A shovel is super important to bring when winter camping in order to dig out an outhouse, make some walls in order to protect your shelter from wind, or even dig your shelter out in the morning if you got a really big snowfall. I also use a shovel in order to pile snow against the sides of my Ultimate tent in order to seal out the wind and really lock in the heat. But the reason why the snow shovel is so great is because while it's still super effective as a shovel, it's very compact and lightweight. I can easily fit this into my pack on the front pouch and it doesn't add a lot of weight to my pack weight. In the wintertime, I've been an advocate of stools because they're a lot more stable on snow compared to something like the Helinox Chair Zero. But then I discovered the Helinox Ground Chair. This is still a very lightweight chair, but it works very well in wintertime, especially in a tent like the Ultimate. Pyramid tents are great, but you need to stay relatively low to the ground in order to maximize space inside of the tent. If you're sitting in something like the Helinox Chair Zero, which gets you quite high off the ground, your head is going to be touching the walls a lot. With the Helinox Ground Chair, you get a super comfortable chair that's a little bit lower to the ground in order to hang out inside a tent like the Ultimate. And the way the feet of the ground chair are designed make it a lot more stable on snow, a lot more stable than the Helinox Chair Zero, and slightly more stable than something like a stool. Then we got a whole bunch of smaller items like my first aid kit, hand warmers, my pee bottle, my poop kit, my ditty bag, and then a water bottle. A first aid kit's pretty self-explanatory. I have an entire video dedicated to what I keep inside of here. And then hand warmers are just great to have in case of emergency. They don't weigh a ton, and you can use them in order to keep electronics warm inside of your jacket, or if your hands or feet are starting to get cold, you can use these. And they're great in case of emergency because you're a little bit more static and it's a lot harder to stay warm. I think a pea bottle is an essential item to bring when you're winter camping, especially if temperatures are getting very cold. I really like this collapsible bottle from Hydro Pack. It has a nice wide opening, which makes peeing into it a lot easier. And then because it's collapsible, it doesn't take up a ton of room when you're traveling with it. This one's 700 milliliters, which is perfect because I did a lot of trials where I peed into measuring cups, and over about 20 trials, I never exceeded 600 milliliters of water. That's even when I was super hydrated, drinking lots of water throughout the day. While using a pea bottle isn't the most fun aspect of winter camping, going poop in the woods in the wintertime is also not the best either. In my poop kit, I have hand sanitizer and then powdered soap. Powdered soap is great because it doesn't freeze in really cold temperatures, so you're still able to use it even if you're in -20, -30 degree temperatures. In my poop kit, I have hand sanitizer and then powdered soap. Powdered soap is great for wintertime because it doesn't freeze. And then hopefully your campsite has an outhouse, but if it doesn't, then you need to be using a wag bag. So this is a bag that you unfold and then you poop into it. You roll it all up, tie it up, and then I like to put it into a freezer bag for a little bit of extra security, and you carry your poop out with you during your trip. The reason why you want to be doing this is because in the wintertime, the ground is frozen and you can't dig a cat hole, and you don't want to be just pooping on the snow. Come springtime, that snow is going to melt and your poop's just going to leave landmines all over the campsite, or even worse, it's going to start running off into the rivers and streams that we're trying to drink out of. In my ditty bag here, I keep things like lip chap, my toothbrush, toothpaste tabs. Similar to the powdered soap, toothpaste tabs are nice because not only can you ration how much you need really easily, but they don't freeze, which I've had an issue with toothpaste at -30 degree temperatures. Then I have an extra battery bank for my electronics. Electronics tend to die in the wintertime, especially if you have an iPhone, which is why I go with Android. And then in the wintertime, illumination is super important. We have the lamp on the pump that I showed you, but I like to bring a headlamp as well. This is the Nightcore NU25. It works very well, the best headlamp out there in my opinion, and works really well in the wintertime in cold conditions. And then for water, I use an HDPE Nalgene. It's a lot lighter than the hard-sided Nalgenes, and then I slip that into an insulated sleeve. With that system, I've kept the water from freezing overnight down to about -20 degrees Celsius. And then I also use a Platypus soft-sided water bottle for water, but I keep this one on my person in one of the inner pockets of my jacket, and that's so I can just bust it out and have a sip of water as I'm hiking or snowshoeing or skiing. Wintertime is a dangerous time of year to be out in the backcountry, and while I try to make good decisions and mitigate risk as much as possible, in case of an emergency, I like to have a Garmin Energy with me. This is the InReach Messenger. It's a little bit less expensive than the InReach Mini 2 and also has a little bit better battery life. The InReach Messenger can also be used with two-way charging to charge your phone. Like I said, battery life in the wintertime can be very finicky, so having that capability is actually a really nice feature with the InReach Messenger. I keep all of my food and my cook kit inside this Hilltop Packs food bag. For a pot, I use a 2-liter Toaks titanium pot. You want a really high capacity pot in the wintertime because you're going to be melting snow in order to create water, and that can be super annoying if you're using a low capacity pot. This pot's really nice due to a couple of features. You have this bail handle, which makes it a lot easier to pick up when it's really hot. As well, you have a spout on the front here, which makes pouring water out of it a lot easier. Inside the pot, I have my stove. This is the MSR Hyperlite stove. So this is still a canister stove, so it uses a standard isobutane canister in order to provide fuel, but it also can use white gas. So it's nice to have that versatility. I like isobutane canisters because they're a lot easier to use, whereas white gas is going to be a lot more effective once you're getting down into really cold temperatures. But I've used isobutane with the Hyperlite stove down to a little bit below -30 degrees Celsius, and it's been effective at those temperatures still. And the reason for that is that the Hyperlite is able to burn liquid fuel. At warmer temperatures, a lot of the fuel inside of a canister is going to be gas, but once the temperatures get really, really cold, that fuel turns into liquid. What the Hyperlite does is that it has this preheating tube which heats up the liquid, turns it into gas, and then allows the stove to effectively burn it. I like to use freeze-dried meal bags in the wintertime because they rehydrate a lot quicker than my homemade ones. And in order to help keep them warm and rehydrating efficiently, I like to use this reflective koozie. So I can just open this up, stick the freeze-dried meal in here once I add boiling water to it, and then allow it to rehydrate inside this bag, staying nice and toasty. I fit all this gear inside the Mountain Hardwear AMG 75 pack. The AMG 75 has a 75-liter capacity, which is enough to fit all of the winter camping gear that you might need. It's designed for mountaineering, so it has a lot of great features for wintertime, including a dedicated pouch for avalanche gear, a pocket that I like to keep my shovel in, or a hot tent, as well as a ton of straps for strapping things down like skis or snowshoes or extra gear. Your pack is likely going to also be a lot heavier during wintertime, and the AMG 75 has an awesome carrying capacity. I've had over 50 pounds in this, and it carried that weight phenomenally due to a really well-designed hip belt and great shoulder straps. I didn't go over any of the clothing that I use for winter camping, but go check out this video where I go over the ultimate layering system in order to stay warm when out on your winter camping adventures.